Rowty pouty.
Rowty pouty?
I don't know.
Give
What
your
else?
best pout then.
Mm-mm.
No. Oh no, I'm being stung by jellyfish. Ah, that really hurts.
Whoa, calm down.
I'm pretty calm. I think I'm pretty calm.
Cam.
That's the word, calm.
Calm.
That's like the very calm. I
Calm.
guess I was going to say that's like an American pronunciation, but I think English people would probably say calm as well.
Yeah, it's just you. Cam.
It's very Scottish. We would say cam.
Cam.
Would you calm down? Calm down.
Dune.
Yeah, we say dune instead of down.
Interesting.
Slang is so
I just say I'm going to sleep now.
What does that have to do with calm down?
Everything, like calming down, you know?
You would calm down before bed, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. That makes
no sense. No sense.
I was trying to be nice, but okay, sure. Hello and welcome back to the Ghost Book Archive. This is chapter 9, and today it is all about scientific discoveries. We're talking about tech, we're talking about science, just anything science. As always, I'm Ryan. Of course I'm Ryan. My name never changed. And I'm joined by Zilver.
Hi.
I always make fun of your highs. I need to stop.
Yeah,
It's so rude of me.
But they're awkward. I don't know what to say, so I'm just like, oh,
I'm such a
hi.
rude man. We should probably work out something for you to say, so you're just like, hi, and then you start saying something. Like, you can introduce something. So, like, I do that, and then you're like, yeah, we're going to be talking about... So, like, say I said it's all about science, and then you could be like, oh, yeah, and so our stories today are all going to be about this. So it probably works.
I'm not a good host. I'm not good at this stuff.
It's because you're inexperienced.
That too, but it's just not exactly me. It's not my vibe, you know? I don't feel very host friendly.
I mean, when I first started doing any sort of videos and stuff, I didn't feel that way either. It's something you develop. It's because you've never really done it. It's skills that you develop.
It's skills, but it's also about like who you are. I feel you enjoy being this performer, this talker. You enjoy this.
Sure.
I don't really.
But the point I'm making is, okay, you might not enjoy it, but you can get better at it.
Yeah, if I need to, I can try and get a bit better. I guess
you are getting better though. You're genuinely, you get better just by doing it. Like, you genuinely have come a long way from the first episode we made up until now. Like, both of us flow much better talking and stuff.
Yeah, I hope so.
Like, I remember when we posted the first episode and my friend was watching and she's like, stop talking over her. She kept saying I kept talking over you. I kept interrupting you. And I do that sometimes because I never shut up. And I try and stop myself. But she said that, like, we'll be doing that less. So I think it's more as well just finding the, I think it's finding the right chemistry as well. Like, knowing each other and when we stop speaking to know when to start speaking again. Because I'm kind of bad with that sometimes. It doesn't help when you're online as well. Like, in person it's a bit easier, but the tiniest little delay in like speaking, suddenly it makes it a bit awkward sometimes.
True. Yeah. No, I usually wait for people to stop talking, but you could go on for a while. So
yeah, I just
sometimes I try to cut in just to.
Yeah, you should do that more because I just keep yapping.
Ryan the yapper. Okay, so a question for you.
A question for me?
Would you upload your brain to a computer if it meant you could live forever digitally?
It's a tough one because I'm inclined to say yes, but I'm not going to kill myself in order to do that. So if I'm about to die and there's the option of, we'll put your brain into this computer since you're going to die anyway, I'd think, okay, sure, let's take that chance. But I'm not going to be able-bodied and fine and put myself into a computer and have my physical body die. Because I think there's a very important distinction to be made here, because we don't quite understand what consciousness truly is. And so if you are to take us as a person and put us into the computer, yes, you might replicate me and my memories and all of my personality. You might replicate me perfectly in that computer.
Yeah,
but you cannot prove, you cannot prove that you're putting my consciousness into that computer. When I get to my story later, there's part of that in my story. But yeah, I think that's a huge thing that I'd be very worried about, because I don't want to kill me off just to have some copy of me on a machine. And no one
Hmm.
else would be able to know if it was a copy or not because it would have
Right.
literally all of my memories and all that sort of thing. That would even think that it was really me. But my
Hmm.
consciousness wouldn't be there. You can't put consciousness into a digital format. Like how it doesn't make sense. All you when you're putting something digitally, you're making a copy.
But if it were to be like that, if it was possible to actually transfer your entire being onto the computer, that would be a more like reason to actually do it.
I agree. I'm just not sure that it would ever be possible because again,
True.
at the end of the day, a computer is digital. It isn't organic. And that's you come to the question of AI, for example, and it's how real
Hmm.
is it? And it might act like it has feelings, it might seem like it has feelings, but no matter what, AI does not have feelings. It's impossible because it is still just binary. It's digits at the bottom level. It's not
Yeah, but
organic.
what makes us have all of these feelings and stuff? Like, could you artificially make emotion and empathy and stuff? Maybe they do feel it.
I think it comes down to the question of consciousness. And it's if
Hmm.
you believe that there's some sort of actual consciousness and you are not just a brain, you actually think you are something more than just a bunch of things like body parts and meat slapped together, and
Yeah,
you think there's
I
really
think
a
so.
soul or something, then it is
I do.
impossible for a computer to actually have feelings. Then it is impossible. However, if really our brain is just maybe it is just a computer, maybe it is just an
Hmm.
organic type of computer.
I think I would take my chances in the afterlife instead of being trapped in a computer. Like, in case I get stuck in the computer and can't go to the afterlife.
Mm, yeah, I see what you mean.
But
If
both of
you're,
them are sort of gambling. So
yeah, they are. They're
I
gambling.
would rather gamble with the afterlife because there's more chance of me having a like a fun, nice life. Because I don't like this life that much that I would love to stay here, like in a computer.
Well, in a computer, it wouldn't be this life though. It would be something totally different.
True, it would be this world still.
Would it really? You're not really in this world. You're in some digital hyperspace where you're living and experiencing everything all at once. You'd be like downloading the data
Mm.
of the internet and you would just know everything immediately. It would probably turn out to
Hmm.
be a very boring, crappy existence because you would just experience
That's
everything
yeah.
instantly. Like you would, what's the point? Oh, I don't need to watch a movie. I know every single
Mm.
movie because all I need to do is think, oh, that movie. Now I know.
No, but if you're in a computer, you could like put yourself in a game or something and live in Sims. I don't know.
How would it actually work? I feel like you would just be experiencing it all so quickly and so all at once. It would be over in an
True.
instant. It's such a hard thing to actually wrap your head around.
Would you trust an AI to pick your next best friend or even a romantic partner?
I don't know. I feel like that's some. I would have to do some sort of test. I mean, if you're asking me blindly, would I trust an AI to choose? Probably not based on current AI models. How well do these things know me? How well do they know other people? If we're talking in theory, okay, there's a
True.
super smart AI and it is great at choosing people who are going to get on. Okay, sure. I actually think it is probably better at deciding who'll get on than people are. I think it probably
Mm.
would be pretty accurate at doing that because they will pick out patterns. They'll be very very accurate. I would imagine at actually predicting that sort of thing. So in a way, yes, I'd probably trust it if it was that advanced stage. It might even be like that already. Maybe that is possible. I don't know. But do you not think at the same time, when it feels so artificial that you're letting something else choose, it takes
Yeah,
away some of the excitement or
it does.
the organicness of actually creating new friendships and relationships. It's strange
Yeah.
if you have someone saying, "Oh, well, you go do that. You go be friends with that person." It's strange having someone else choose who you're supposed to associate with. I think sometimes it's okay to have
Yeah.
friends that you aren't perfectly getting on with all the time. Like that's just part of
Yeah.
like you can't get on with everyone all the time perfectly.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. It seems a bit too contrived. A bit. It's too perfect almost. I think that's the
Yeah,
issue. It's
exactly.
too
Yeah.
perfect.
I do agree, but I don't know about trust, but I could definitely just let an AI try and pick out a friend for me.
Hmm.
I wouldn't like take it that seriously. I would just see if it works. Like, if I connect with this
Yeah.
person, that's great. If it doesn't work, that's fine. Like, it's not that serious. So
You'd be willing
I
to
wouldn't
try it.
trust it, but
Yeah.
I could try it. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of things, like even dating apps and stuff, feel kind of like that too, because you're just judging based on like a quick, like,
Yeah. Quick glance at
look.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah. So that also feels pretty unnatural to me, anyways. But you and me, we met on Tinder for some
Yeah.
reason.
But that's
So,
insane. Like, imagine if like dating apps were a thing when like 50 years ago, like or like before that, even like our grandparents
mhm,
and stuff. Imagine them. Like, I feel like most people's grandparents or parents wouldn't have met. Like, they wouldn't have even liked
yeah,
each other on a dating app. They'd be like, "Oh, they're not my
right.
type," or
They
"They
would
look
hate
nothing."
each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas it's just something. It's not until people feel each other's vibes in real life most of the time that that's when, oh, I like that person or I get on with that person.
Hmm.
Or sometimes it's like you're looking at a picture of someone and you don't find them attractive in the picture, but in real life you might find them attractive. It goes because sometimes there's so much more to just, oh, it's a picture of this person versus how they actually are, and it's their vibe adds to it as well. It's not just that, oh, this
Hmm.
one picture, and they might even be just bad at taking pictures. Maybe they just chose a bad picture. You never know.
Yeah. We tried going to a writing event that it was like a special writing sort of group where you just sit and write, and you're supposed to discuss with people in between writing and get like help and
Mm,
ideas if you need that. But me and you we were just sitting in a corner and nobody said a word to us. Like
yeah,
nobody even like said hey to the new people or anything. They
it was
were
actually
just
quite
like
rude. I thought.
already in groups and stuff. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, this is not gonna work if you want to like meet
yeah,
people unless you like insert yourself into a group. And I'm not a person who can just go and sit with
yeah.
someone and be like, hey guys, I'm new.
Yeah, it's very
I'm not
uncomfortable.
gonna do that.
Yeah, and
So
it was just really strange. They didn't even explain what they were doing. I remember we went
right.
in and we sat down. We're waiting there. We had an idea what we thought was going to happen, and we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about something. And the guy stands up. This guy, I guess he's the guy who was running it, and he says, "Okay, we're starting now."
Yeah.
And starting what? What are we doing? We've never been here before. It's like what you. It's like that
Right.
was it. They started.
So
No
confusing.
one said hello to us. No one said like, "Oh, are you here for this?" Or it's just that was it. And they sat and they did it. And we were actually talking for. We realized, oh, you're not supposed to be talking at this
Yeah,
time.
we
We were
were
like,
just like
yeah,
and
suddenly,
I noticed it was completely silent and I was like, oh, we're supposed to shut
yeah.
up right now.
And we
So
did,
yeah, that
and it was
was
fine. And we did our own. We just basically did our own little thing, and it worked out well. And we wrote a
yeah,
few
we
little
had
poems
fun.
and stuff. Yeah, it was all
We
right.
had fun, but if I
I
went
wouldn't go
alone,
back.
I would be very awkward and lonely.
I wouldn't go back
Just
to that, but I'm glad I went just for the experience. And then we developed our
yeah.
own little technique we were doing there. And then
Mhm.
we did that a couple other times when we were like in a coffee shop and stuff. And then that's the
Mhm.
same technique we've been using on the podcast for the games, the whole thing where we've been choosing words and then do a timer and write a little poem or something in that time. So
Yeah.
we developed something good out of it.
Yeah, I do love doing that kind of game cuz it makes you think on the spot
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
you kind of have to force ideas out and that helps cuz of
Yeah.
the timer. Our stories are about a scientific discovery
That changed the world
that changed the world.
with angry pointing. But then what we're going to do is we're going to have a little game where we're going to be creating our own little silly inventions or silly discoveries. And we're going to have a little game towards the end about that. So
Hmm.
that'll be fun. Stick around for that. So, are you going to start reading your story?
Yep, I am going.
Zoom, zoom. We are off to the races with that little check mark. Checkers,
Huh?
check mark,
Oh, the
checkers, your checker pattern.
checkers.
Yeah. We could play chess on
Um,
that.
we could, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to play chess.
I forgot. I was supposed to teach you how to play chess when you were here. I forgot.
My story is very old. I wrote this maybe 5, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's pretty bad. But it's a scientific discovery, so I'm gonna read it. I did edit out a few parts. I didn't edit any like a lot of the wording or anything, so it's just gonna
Mm,
stand on its own. It's called The Creation of a Star. There are things the world of science has yet to explore. Sometimes the unthinkable happens, like when a single human manages to create something that should not have been possible. During his lifetime, a chemist named Gore Ledger had the world turned upside down. Ledger studied science. He specialized in the chemical elements. Right after he finished his doctor's degree at the University of Cambridge, he started a project that would be his life's work. There was one thing he had always wanted to create. He wanted to artificially form a star. His idea was to use the star's tremendous energy as a power source, replacing the insufficient and limited power supply that humans used at the time. A star could act as fuel for the entire planet. This project was everything he aspired for, and he put every ounce of his being into it. At the time, he had never imagined what sort of disaster would unfold. He had a lot to overcome. This would by no means be easy to work out, as originally, for a star to be made, it would require several billions of tons of hydrogen. Not to mention, it takes about 1 million years for a star to take shape on its own. He would have to speed up the fusion process by an immense amount. Yet he still decided to go through with this absurdity, no matter what it would take. After 12 years of constant work, he had a revelation. Using a radioactive metal called francium, he changed how the combination of gases worked together. The francium acted as a catalyst, and thus drastically decreasing the time the process would take. Now it was possible to merge these elements and compress this star to a much smaller scale. If this research was correct, the chemical reaction could decrease the time frame so drastically that the star would form in mere seconds. That was the theory of his discovery. When it came to the performance of this theory, he had a long way to go. Ledger formed a group of prominent individuals who had vast knowledge and education in different fields. The world eventually heard about their accomplishments and research. The public was greatly fascinated by Ledger's work. Eventually, their project closed in on the final date. In a remote area away from civilization, the scientists were monitoring the scene, using drones and cameras, seated in a control room at a safe distance. The time had finally come to execute the plan. The whole world stood by in silence, holding their breaths. Then it happened. It was an absolute miracle. Astonishingly, the shining gleam of a star flashed in front of their eyes. The area lit up with an incredible amount of light and energy. The cheers and joy was short-lived. There was an error in Ledger's calculations, a concept that hadn't even grazed his mind. By speeding up the process of the making of the star, he also sped up the rate at which it would die and explode. The star was beaming, but for no more than a few minutes. Then, the unforeseen cataclysmic event took place. The star shimmered rapidly in a spectrum of colors, until everything flashed a glaring white, and an ear-shattering blast demolished everything in its proximity. The explosion wiped out everything nearby and created a massive indent in the ground. Nobody wanted to believe it. The star was gone just like that. But it wasn't over just yet. The most peculiar thing happened. A purplish light flashed across the entire globe as the ground shook acutely. Then it all went pitch black. Everything running on electricity instantaneously powered off, and there was a shocking amount of pressure as if the earth was moving faster. After a while of unnerving movement and shaking, everything became hauntingly still, and the air grew increasingly colder. Everything was completely dark on one side of the earth, while on the other side there was a dim light, a sun observed in the distance. The sun seemed to be further away from Earth than normal. He also noticed that the constellations and planets looked drastically different. Nobody knew what could have happened, other than the cause probably being the experiment with the star. The most probable reason would be that the star exploding triggered a reaction, creating something like a wormhole, swallowing the Earth entirely, and sending the planet and everything on it to another galaxy. A week went by, and there was still no electricity and very limited sunlight. The space Earth entered must have been packed with molecules to be able to transfer heat from a sun that far away. If not, it would have had apocalyptic consequences. The Earth would be consumed by ice and cold. It was a few degrees colder than it used to be, but fortunately, it did not have a deadly outcome. Another lucky thing was how the globe had smoothly entered an orbit around this sun. They quickly noticed that the Earth had lost its moon, throwing off the actual tilt, and making the seasons change more variably and uncontrollably. The most immediate consequence was the weather changes. There were massive tornadoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis forming all around the world, which led to the destruction of cities and in some cases entire countries. That was how the world almost ended. Humanity was only weeks or months away from extinction at that point. Astronomers were working on mapping out the space around them and trying to figure out which galaxy they might be in, striving for a way to save humanity. But they found no loopholes. There were no previous records of a galaxy like this. Earth must have been sent several billions or trillions of miles away, somewhere beyond what scientists had explored before. The days ahead looked bleak. The people that were left were starting to lose all hope. Mother Nature had turned her back on humanity. She would no longer live in their shadow and viciousness. Even with uncertainty and fear, mankind held on for dear life until at last their saviors arrived.
So it's the end of the world almost. A new
Yeah,
sun. That was a took some strange turns I didn't see coming. Definitely, what this really shows to me is how far your writing has come. I don't think that this is inherently bad. It's not written bad. It's just written very simply.
it's
It's very
so
simple.
simple.
Yeah. But simple isn't necessarily bad, but what simple means is, as you said, I guess, it makes it
Boring.
a little more, yeah, a bit more monotone. It makes it
Yeah.
a bit less interesting in that way. There is some cool ideas. The idea that someone's actually creating a star and they managed to do it, but it also meant it was going to blow up fast and die fast. I like that. I
Hmm.
like that there was some cool ideas there. Not my favorite story for sure, but
Yeah.
it's
I
still,
sort
but
of wrote it. I wrote it like an article, as if someone wrote
Mm.
an article about what happened to Earth. You know.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that actually makes it more interesting knowing that. No, it does.
Yeah, but
It changes
yeah,
my
it's still
view
a
a little bit on
boring
it.
story to me.
But to be honest, if you were reading something like that in a paper, it probably would be kind of written boring like that. It's not gonna. They're not gonna be writing about the some metaphors and stuff in there probably. So it's probably going to be very matter of fact. Yeah. At the time? What? Why did you write this? Was it just something that you decided? Oh, I want to write about this idea, or
I actually wrote this for like a. I made an account on some writing website, and
mm,
there was some sort of prompt on there that was like some science stuff. So
yeah,
I sort of wrote it because of that, and yeah, it was a fun thing to try. Writing something for like a special um, website sort
yeah.
of thing, like a contest. It was like entering a contest, sort of. So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. Yeah, again, there were some cool ideas. I like how you ended it on the until at last their saviors arrived. So it's very open ended. It's like, oh, what happened? Did aliens arrive
Mhm.
or something to save the day? Did something happen? Like, I always think
Mm,
it might get to a point. Like, I'm about to go full conspiracy nut here, but
go
um,
on.
there's whole theories about aliens and stuff, and there's like all these weird reports and I've read stuff before about like during like the Cuban Missile Crisis, and there's been like a bunch of situations where people
Mm,
have been in charge of nuclear warheads and stuff, and they have reported seeing increased sightings of what they call UFOs or what they now call
hmm.
UAPs, and increased sightings of things that they don't quite understand, or suddenly their missile systems being offline when they shouldn't have been offline and
Right.
stuff like that. And it's if you really dive into it, I don't want to dive into it too much, but if you research a lot of this, there's so
Hmm.
many accounts from people in certain uh, official like government branches of military, whether it's the Navy and stuff, the Air Force, and it's people seeing these things. And it's almost like to me, it's imagine there's some this race of aliens maybe is somewhere else and they're like, these stupid humans, we're just going to ignore them for the most part. But then suddenly they're about to blow each other up. So they're like, okay,
Hmm.
now we're going to step in and say, stop it.
Wow.
We're taking the handgun off of the toddler, essentially. And it's
Yeah.
that's almost what that makes me think of. And that's kind of what your thing made me think of as well. At last our saviors arrived. Okay, we've had enough of these people playing around with things that they have no idea the consequences of. We're going to show
Hmm.
up and sort this out. And that's I know I just went on a whole tangent there about aliens, but that's what
Yeah,
that makes me think of.
but it's kind of it's sci-fi sort of because of the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I think yeah. Originally, I had written what happened, like who is the saviors and stuff, but I felt like that was kind of stupidly written, so I just
yeah.
removed the entire thing.
Well, it also leaves it a bit more vague and open ended, and so I do like the
Yeah.
ending because it means that I can think about it a bit more.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, as a short story, it makes it work. I think a little bit better leaving it this way. Whereas if you wanted
Me
to
too. I did
expand on
that.
it
Yeah.
and have it as actually a full story, like a longer thing, then I guess then it makes sense to add all that.
Yeah.
Um, like this would actually work probably as an introduction. Like, this could work as like the very first chapter of a book or something.
Yeah.
That this is setting it up, and then the whole thing is about the saviors who came along to. So
Yeah. This. Yeah.
yeah, I think
A
that would work.
start.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not your best work, but as you say, 5 6 years ago you wrote it. I don't
Hmm.
think it's bad. I don't think you've written it bad, as I keep saying. It's just it's very bland. Is probably there's
Yeah.
some
It's
cool ideas,
there's
but it's
no
yeah,
like I didn't mix it up with any of the writing. I didn't include like any.
Yeah.
cool descriptions that I like to use. Like any like yeah, I don't know. It was just very scientific, very boring,
Very
very
stating, yeah.
straightforward.
You're just stating things. You're just saying this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this
Yeah.
happened, then this happened. There's no characters really talked about much other than the guy, uh, Ledger.
Hmm.
He was mentioned briefly, but you don't really know much about him other than that he's like behind it and stuff. It was very much just a this happened, this happened. Like as you said, like a news report. It's just telling you what
Yeah.
happened. It's telling you what happened.
Yeah. So
And
it's
if
sort of
that
like an
as
article.
yeah, as the task, I mean that actually works and it makes sense as an article. That's pretty cool. That's maybe also something we should think about in the future as some sort of prompt that we wrote news articles about fake stories. That would be a cool, fun
Oh,
episode.
that's a good
Yeah,
idea. Yeah.
not your best, but I think it's really good to look at this and then see how much you've improved from it.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
thought like I could just write, no, I mean, read something out that
yeah,
I wrote a long time ago just to like compare. And like I
yeah.
know I don't like this story, but I do think the idea of making a star, actually, I remember I don't know how long after I wrote this, but sometime after I wrote this, I read an article about someone trying to make a star, and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
It's real? Like people are actually doing it?" So yeah, that was kind of weird, but I don't think anyone's actually managed to make anything like that, or if it's
Well,
possible.
I don't know if you know much about stuff like the Large Hadron Collider.
No, I'm
It's
not a
like,
science girly, even though I
yeah,
look very smart.
cool sort of ideas, not your best execution, but you could
Yeah,
have even tried. I mean, you probably chose this because it was easy because we had like you were feeling ill and stuff, but you could have even tried to just take the same thing and maybe rewrite it the same, but just put in your updated writing style. But
yeah. The
that
whole
would have been
point
more
of
work.
this was to not have to write anything for this one.
Yeah.
Sadly, this is my brand at this point, just doing everything to
we're
not.
gonna yeah, but
Yeah.
suddenly you're gonna run out of stuff to do that with.
No,
Hmm.
I don't do that every time. For the next episode, I did everything
Yeah, most things
completely
you
new.
haven't. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
most
been a few
things I
times we
haven't.
have, and like uh last episode we did it on purpose. We were taking our old work, so there's been a.
Yeah,
I've done it myself. A few things. What I've done is I've maybe used
true.
even the story I'm about to read here is I've taken something that I had kind of used the same idea
Mm.
for, and then adapted it into a story.
That's smart though. I feel like if we're doing this every week, we need some kind of breaks, even though we're filming. So I need some writing breaks, and then that's a good moment for me to just find something I've already written to
Mm,
read out. I feel like that's the way I can
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. For me, it's I've not got many things that I've already written, but I've got things that I can take the idea from and then make a new
Yeah,
version of it or like adapt it to
yeah.
something else. Is there anything else you want to say about this story?
No.
No. Okay. My story it is titled Empty. I don't know if I've ever told you about this before.
Empty.
I originally had an idea for a screenplay, I believe it was last year. And this is
Mm.
a sci-fi based screenplay, and it fits this perfectly. The screenplay I wrote it was only a couple of pages. I never really elaborated on it much. I only started it. I didn't really do much with it. It was
Mm.
never a complete screenplay. I then decided to I was really scrambling for ideas for my YouTube channel, and I ended up recording the first scene, which is also the first scene of this I'm about to read. And I made that actually as it's almost a funny little skit, and it's the first scene of this video I made, and then follows by a montage, which is actually very similar to some of the. There's a bit of narration and dialogue later that I kind of put together, so I can maybe link you that later,
Mm.
or I'll put it in the
Yeah.
description if people are interested to see that. Just because it's not my favorite thing I've ever made, but it's whatever.
I want to see
Anyway,
that.
anyway, I have adapted it into this, and I would like to use this in future again. I would like to expand this more because we'll talk about it after I've read it. But it's an idea I really
Mm.
do enjoy, but it's kind of vague for the most part. So you're probably going to be guessing at what's going on. So anyway, without
Okay.
further ado, this is Empty. Yes, Asher spoke into his phone, devoid of all emotion. He listened while a voice on the other end spoke to him. A single slice of dry bread was staring up at him from the stained oak table in front of him. The bread lay directly on the table, no plate to be seen. Pristine silverware was laid out beside it, and a large glass of tap water lingered nearby. Yes, Asher spoke again, then listened again to the caller. His living room was dull, devoid of personality. Anyone who met Asher would have been shocked to see his home, as its aesthetic was the antithesis of his strange and vibrant personality. Yes, Asher said again, before returning to listening. To think that things had once been so different for him. For everyone. I will, said Asher. When? Asked the caller. Now. Asher put down his phone and then reached for his water glass. Without hesitation, he tilted his head back, his eyes staring up at the ceiling, unhinged his jaw, and then dumped the entire glass out into his mouth, most of it splashing over his face and chest. His good shirt was now soaking wet, but he did not seem to care. Setting down the glass, he got to his feet and walked out of the room. He made his way down the hall and into a closet. A few moments later, a bright flash of light could be seen emanating from underneath the closet door. 3 days earlier, Asher was in a panic. His heart had never pounded so hard, so much so that he was sure that it was preparing to burst out of his chest and devour the sun. Stranger things had happened. He was no longer living in normal times. His panic drove him straight to Mike's place, where he rattled on the door insistently until Mike eventually opened it. It's all gone to shit, Mike, Asher erupted, barging past Mike into the hallway. Mike was a slim, pasty-looking man in his mid-30s. He made a habit of combing his hair over to try and cover his bald spot, but it did him no favours. What has? Mike asked, his voice as dull and drawn out as ever. If Asher didn't know him so well, he might have thought Mike had been one of the empty. The Jims, the Jones, the mice with the trombones, all of it. It's all falling apart. We need to act now, or we're done. There'll be no surviving this. Asher was flushed and breathing heavily. He had sprinted all the way there. Although he was a little younger than Mike, he wasn't at all as fit as he had once been. The two men made their way towards the kitchen, where they sat down opposite one another at the small table, which was covered in playing cards. I've taken some liberties, Asher went on. I think we can get by without the jars from Suzanne, which, in the long run, might actually work out better for us both. I mean, did we really want to be around those things? I'll never understand them. Jars are for jam, not skin. Mike didn't say anything for some time. He just sat quietly pondering what Asher had said. However, it was clear that he was confused about something. Mice can't play trombones, he finally spoke. That doesn't even make any sense. Says who? Asher shot back defensively. I do. When did you become the authority on what mice are permitted to do, Mike? Their mouths are literally too small, Asher. It doesn't matter whether they're allowed to or not. Asher let out an exhausted sigh. These are tiny trombones. No one makes trombones that small, Mike argued back. Why won't you believe me, Mike? Because it's ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. Asher shot to his feet in frustration. You know what? Maybe I'll just join the rest of those vacant fools out there in the world. How does that sound? Enjoy being alone. You don't mean that. Maybe I don't, but maybe I do. Asher sighed and sat back down. Do you have anything to eat? I'm starving. Without a second thought, Mike reached down into a pocket of his jeans and pulled out 2 half chunks of a chocolate chip cookie. He held it out to Asher, who gave him a disdainful look. Oh, fine, Mike huffed, getting to his feet and searching the cupboard behind him. Here, he said, handing Asher an unopened packet of cookies. The two of them sat quietly for a while as Asher loudly and unceremoniously chomped down on 3 of the cookies at once. So, what's going on with Suzanne? Asked Mike. She's blown, done, kaboom, like a big bloody rocket that explodes anytime a badger says salad cream. Mike's expression tightened and he began fidgeting with his watch. Are we okay? I honestly don't know. You know how she is? Always discreet. But these people, discreet, but really weird, Mike cut him off. Do you think she was born here? That's a little racist, Asher, don't you think? Well, yes, I'm convinced she came here from some colony of bug people. You've seen those eyes. They are pretty terrifying, Mike agreed. Asher slouched in his chair, scratching at the stubble on his chin. This whole thing is such a mess. 4 months, Mike stated plainly. 4 months and the whole world has already gone to shit. I knew people were sheep, Asher sighed, but I didn't think they were this bad. And to think they used to laugh at guys like us. Conspiracy theorists. I always hated that term. Asher crunched away at another cookie. So what's the plan now? You want to just hold out here until we know more? Asher did not respond to Mike's question. He was too busy thinking something over in his head. Eventually, he asked a question of his own. Do you ever think the world would be a better place if anteaters needed licenses to live? I can't say I've ever thought about that. How great a life would it be just to work for the agency dealing with that? Asher fantasized with a smirk. Just think about it. Standing on the side of the road, pulling them over, then when they don't have one, snapping their necks and leaving them dead at the side of the road. A hall monitor's wet dream, Mike quipped. What if the hall is already wet from little people walking around pissing on the floor? They don't piss on the floor. You don't make the rules, Mike. Asher was getting annoyed with him. If they do piss everywhere, then being a hall monitor is probably dangerously stinky work. Hall monitors are already stinky, Mike. Inside and out, Mike agreed. They carry around little piss bags, little zippy plastic bags that they pee in so they don't have to use the bathroom and can maximize their time being total fucking dweebs monitoring the hall. What do you think happens if they trip and fall? Wouldn't piss go everywhere? I don't think they care, Mike. Right. After a brief silence, Asher stood up. I'm going to sneak home and grab what I can on those soulless reprobates. I'll text you a meeting point. The street outside Asher's apartment was deathly silent. Only a few months ago, his street had been one of the busiest in the central belt, but everything had changed. Asher, cautious as ever, made his way inside the apartment building and climbed the stairs to the third floor, but when he got there, he found that his door was already wide open. For a moment, he considered turning and running back to Mike's place. But no, he couldn't do that. Asher crept his way inside, trying to make as little noise as possible as he moved. By the time he reached his living room, it was clear that whoever had been there was now long gone. They had been looking for something, a fact that was obvious from the mess. Documents were scattered all over the floor, chairs upturned, and cabinets pulled to pieces. Asher ignored all of that, heading straight to the kitchen. Garbage was all over the floor, and for a moment, he thought his chest was collapsing inwards. Asher breathed a sigh, feeling relief like he had never felt before when he found the hidden flash drive still taped to the underside of his trash lid. He didn't know how they had missed it, but he was not one to question good fortune. Asher quickly pulled out his phone to text Mike. The park, like most other places, was almost silent, despite it being populated with people. Mike and Asher were sitting back to back on two benches, pretending not to know one another. Mike was wearing an old brown trilby hat. Asher thought he looked ridiculous. This is it? Mike asked. It's not enough, Asher mumbled. It's something. We won't get anywhere with it. Vague statements aren't enough. They've taken everything else I had. It was Suzanne who had the real stuff. I never liked Suzanne, Mike huffed. She was old and smelly. Dogs are better. I hope they took her jars, Asher grunted. Should we run? Your call, Mike. Well, running isn't really my thing. I prefer more of a brisk walk. It's hard to take in the scenery when you're moving any faster than that. Runners are freaks. What are they even practicing for? How often do they expect to be chased? I'm going to go home and call my mother, said Asher, ignoring Mike's questions about runners. Then I'll just wait. Are you having people over? I'd love to come for supper. It's been all right knowing you, Mike. That night, Asher climbed into his bathtub, still fully clothed. For the first time in years, he wept. He wept like a baby. He had just ended a phone call with his mother. What am I supposed to do? He thought. This isn't normal. I'm weeping. I don't feel anything. Not anymore. What's left that separates me from them? He recalled the devastating conversation he had just had, how his mother had revealed she had decided to follow the crowd and get her own telepad. You're dead, he had told her. Don't you fucking get that? You're all fucking dead. You're not my mother. They've lied to you, to everyone. They never really worked it out. It's a sham. I've seen the proof. There is no tunneling. You're just a copy, a product, a lie. We could have had everything we wanted, he thought to himself. The world could have been so good. There was so much hope. But now, there is no world. There is no hope. It's the end. I thought I could do something. I thought I could show what I found and expose. What's the point in anything? Everyone's already gone. And those that aren't, they're invisible. I see them in the streets, going about their days, having coffee. They don't even eat properly. They can't drink. They're all broken. The world is broken. I can never forgive these people for what they have done. And if there is a God, justice, or karma, I believe it will be paid back. 3 days later, Mike was at home playing cards. He got up from his game to answer a knock at his front door. "Oh, hey, Asher," Mike said with surprise. "Hello, Michael," Asher replied, and the two stood in awkward silence for some time. "Are you coming in?" "I'm already in." "To sit down?" "Okay." The two men walked to the kitchen. Mike sat down at the table, but Asher stood rigid beside him, holding a small white envelope in his hand. "So, what's up?" Mike asked, trying to break through the awkwardness. But Asher did not respond. "What's in the envelope?" "It's for you, Michael." Asher handed him the envelope, then edged around behind him, clutching something else behind his back. "Oh shit," Mike exclaimed, pleasantly surprised to find a tiny trombone inside the envelope. Mike collapsed onto the table, lifeless. Blood poured from the back of his head. Asher raised his hammer and clubbed his former friend twice more, for good measure. The end.
Holy mother of Jesus, that was a wild ride. That was actually so interesting. I don't know exactly what's going on, or even remotely what's going on,
That's what I was
but
going to
it's
ask.
very
Do you have any guess about what's actually happening here?
okay. I feel like these two people are conspiracy theorists, right?
Yeah.
And the world seems to have some sort of system that they disagree with, and more people are going into this system or thing, and they are like trying probably to destroy maybe this system or this thing, but I don't
Sort
know
of.
what the thing is. Yeah,
Right. So
okay.
sort of it was mentioned a couple of times, but the idea, because obviously this is about a scientific discovery that changed the world.
Yeah.
And so the
Hmm.
discovery was teleportation. So there was a
Telepad.
yeah. So
Oh,
teleportation. And
okay.
so the idea here is that they're in a world, and this is we had a conversation earlier about the idea of uploading into a computer and about consciousness.
Yeah.
And so the idea here is that there was a big company, a big huge corporation that basically put out this technology and said, we can now do teleportation. We can do quantum tunneling, basically meaning you can go from one place and teleport somewhere else. But Mike and Asher have been working with this woman, Suzanne, who is part of some government, basically being a bit of a spy. And they have unearthed
Mm.
information that proves that the whole invention is actually a lie. They never managed to do quantum tunneling. What they've actually done, and what they have been doing, is they are essentially just 3D printing and cloning people. So basically, what happens is when you get on your telepad, you're just disintegrating there. Because obviously, in order to go somewhere else, you're basically being disassembled one place and then reassembled somewhere else. And so what's
Mhm.
happening isn't that they're being quantum tunneled from here to here as them. They are essentially dying here and being cloned and printed out somewhere else. And so
Shit.
this is called empty because when someone does that, their consciousness does not follow. So the clone appears with all their
Shit.
memories and all everything to do with them, but they
Mhm.
have no soul. They are empty. They are lifeless
Oh
beings. They are
shit.
vacant. That's why he kept saying they're vacant and they're empty. Because anyone who has teleported, it's not really them anymore. They are some just being that is walking around that has no soul. They are empty inside. And that's why the world has gone quiet. They go to the park, his street has gone quiet and everything. And that's why he and Mike are also very weird in the way they talk. They're almost going insane because no one in the
Mhm.
world, like most of the world, have got on this invention. Like, who wouldn't
Mhm.
join in? If you can suddenly just teleport to China in a second, and
Yeah.
like, who wouldn't? You can avoid planes and all this cost of travel. Like, who wouldn't be doing that? I would be using it just to go around the corner to somewhere instead of walking. Like, everyone would be using it all the time. And
Mhm.
so most people in the world have done it. And that's why he's
Yeah.
freaking out when his mother says we just bought a telepad because in his mind she's killing herself by using this
Yeah.
telepad, and that's
Mhm.
why he's having a breakdown. And so
Yeah.
I'm explaining everything here, but the thing starts with him, and the idea is
Mhm.
he's having this breakdown, and then what happens is he has the breakdown after, what's the point in anything? Why am I still here? And he actually gives in and does the telepad. That's why the very first scene, he
Shit.
does the thing with the water, he has the bread, he walks out the room and he goes into a closet. The idea is that he's going into the closet to use a telepad. It flashes. And then it's after that, it comes back, and that's when he goes to Asher's house. He's been on the phone. And it's basically, this is just implied, but someone's basically instructing him to go kill Mike Asher to go kill Mike. And because
Shit.
now he is empty as well, and so he has no real emotion, he has no soul, and so why would he not
Mm,
do that? He's doing what he's being told to do, and yeah, so that's I've explained a lot there. I've just yapped a lot, but it is quite a complex idea, and a lot of it is vague because this is just a short story. I would have to do like some whole bloody novel or
mm-hmm.
something, or some whole feature length film
Yeah.
actually to do this. But there's a lot of ideas here I really love, and I love exploring it and messing around with it. But I really love this, and that's
Mm.
the idea.
That's such a good idea. Like that's like mind blowing to me. That was very mind blowing, and I was like, I didn't. I wish you would have maybe used a little more explaining like what's
Yeah,
happening, but maybe because it's a part of a story, I feel like you need to elaborate more. I need more of this, and I think
yeah,
this would be a very very cool thing to make into a like a big project,
yeah.
like a novel or
I
like yeah,
agree.
as you
Or
said.
a full film. Because originally
Yeah,
I
that would
wrote
be
this.
so cool.
Originally I wrote this as a screenplay,
Hmm.
and so, but yeah, it was.
I don't think a screenplay would do this justice. Maybe. Um.
It would if you eventually make it into a film. It's just in the
Yeah.
screenplay form. It's not quite. But the reason I wrote it is because I was intending to make a short film, and so
Hmm.
I wrote this as it was one of the potential ideas of things I was going to make. But I just never really got around to finishing it properly or doing it.
So, do you remember like what the idea came from? Like, how did you get such a crazy idea?
Yeah, for a long time, I've actually always said, I've said for years now that I've always said teleportation is murder. I actually made a video about this on my YouTube channel, just a rant saying teleportation is murder. Because my thought
Oh,
was always, if teleportation ever gets invented, I will never do it because I don't believe. Because when you talk about like
yeah.
it's what I explained earlier is a lot of the concept of teleportation. It's almost just you're disassembled in one place and then printed out, reassembled somewhere else. And to
True.
me, how can you print out and reassemble my consciousness? You're printing a clone of me. You're not printing me, you're
Mm,
printing a clone of me. And so I guess you need quantum tunneling, and that's a bit different because it's actually you're moving something here to here.
mm-hmm.
But and so my idea was just that the easy way to do it, because you could probably kind of do it already if you're just talking about clones essentially. It's not really you're cloning. And that's why earlier we were talking about the uploading you into the machine as well. I'm thinking, okay, but you're not taking your
Yeah.
consciousness with you. And that's the big
Yeah.
thing. And so that's where the idea came from. It's just anytime I've ever thought about teleportation, I found it very scary because I don't believe
Right.
that it would actually be me. And no one else would know that it wasn't me because it would be a copy of me, an exact copy of me, but it's not actually me. I'm dead. I've been killed and replaced by a clone of me, and the clone doesn't even
Yeah.
know that it's a clone of me. It just thinks it's me. Like that's always been something I've thought for a long time now, and so that's where that
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. I mean, there would have to be proof
Mm-hmm.
that it actually is you that comes out on the other side. You know.
Yeah, and how do you prove that? I feel like it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
That's why it's so that's why it's such a scary thing, and it's so interesting. And I do love this whole topic. I have a lot of fun thinking about it.
Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes. No, I was gonna say this reminds me. I don't know why it did, but we talked about that K drama
Mm-hmm.
we saw on Netflix that where the girls turns into a chicken nugget or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens or why or something, but in the trailer it looked something like a machine that turned her into like a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know why it reminded me of that, but I kind of feel like we have to watch that sometime.
Yeah. When I'm in Norway, we're gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that. This idea, you have to make this into something bigger. I feel like, because just the part, it was so good, and it made me really want to know more.
Yeah.
So this is like a start, or even like, yeah, not maybe not even the start.
No, this is
Could
probably
we? Yeah.
honestly, this is like almost a framework. If I was doing a real thing, I would take this. This is probably this is probably is the start and the end and some in the middle, but what I do is
Okay.
expand it very much. So it's
Yeah,
probably,
expand it.
yeah, so it probably starts the same way, it probably ends the same way, but there's going to be probably a lot more, like 50 more scenes or something. Like this is like 10
Mm-hmm.
scenes, and it's probably going to be like another 50 scenes, or it would be like a full stretched out thing with other scenes and
Yeah.
develop all the, like you would maybe have a bit with Suzanne, who they mentioned, and you'd have a little bit of her in an office, and then you'd have maybe a whole scene where
Mm-hmm.
he's other things happening, and maybe more explanations and stuff as well, like reveals and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, somebody needs to pick up this idea, guys. Who
Yeah.
wants to hire Ryan as a
Why can't like
screenwriter?
Netflix or something get in contact with me? I've got so many
Yeah,
ideas. Like,
yeah, for real. Like, where's
yeah,
Netflix at? Where you need them?
yeah.
They be
They're
posting
making something
chicken
about some.
nuggets.
Yeah, someone's making a chicken
They're
nugget, but they
posting
can't make buy
chicken
amazing
nuggets.
concepts. Yeah, or like,
Yeah, you would slay that. I think you would do well if you worked like for like with movies, like making bigger projects and movies with other people because
yeah,
you've made a lot of things on your YouTube, but with the right like resources and
yeah,
people and stuff, you could make so much cool stuff. I feel like
yeah.
you just need a team. I feel like somebody
I
needs to
agree.
get behind you.
I'm not. I'm not. Like I'm very much when it comes to like the actual making things. I'm very much like I'm a bit good at everything. I'm okay at using a
Mhm.
camera. I'm okay at editing. I'm okay at this. But where I
Right.
think I really
Yeah.
excel is the ideas and actually bringing the things together. So it's more
Hmm.
like actually directing something. I feel like that's where I actually shine, having the writing and the
Yeah.
directing part. All the other little details are less important to me. It's like I just need someone who's really good with cameras to get in there and start getting the
Yeah.
cinematography. They can do all that.
Hmm.
Someone else can do all that. Like let other specialists do their thing, but just let me direct my vision of
Yeah.
some weird shit that I've got. And
Yeah.
I think it
You
would end up
you
well.
you fit that job very well. I feel like if you had like a director or screenwriter
Yeah,
type of job.
that's just why I feel like it's about just having the right people and opportunities. Sometimes, like I've
Yeah.
like the screenplay I read in the last thing we did, the last episode. It was like I've got that. It was going to be a very simple thing to film, but it's just about getting the right people. It's about having the right people with you to
Yeah.
end up making these things, and that's where it comes down. It's the resources, both in
Hmm.
people and like expenses as well, I guess. But it's all these things. Anyway,
I feel kind of the same. Like I am very like I can do some things kind of good, like, but if I have to do all the parts, like filming and maybe like acting and stuff like
mm,
that, I don't think that's exactly where I'm the best.
yeah,
So yeah, I could see myself making some sort of like film or something, but I would need help, I feel like, to make it
mm,
good. And you've helped me though,
yeah.
or I mean,
We've helped
we've
each other.
helped each other
Yeah.
making stuff, but we're both not good at a few things,
Yeah, there's
or
some stuff
like
we're not
we're
amazing
just
at. Yeah.
okay at. So
Yeah.
for
Like,
example, like filming and camera work and stuff like
yeah,
that,
that's
we
not
don't
my
know that
speciality
much
at all.
about that. Or the sound, we don't
Yeah.
know shit about sound.
Sound is probably my worst thing. I'm awful with sound. Um
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
not
very
great
good
with
with
lighting
sound.
either, but camera I know some basics about like
Hmm.
filming and stuff, but I'm not great with that either. But um I can do a little bit of everything essentially, but it's not where I stand out. I
Yeah,
like the
same.
acting as
I
well,
think.
but I feel like I
Yeah,
like
you're
it more
very
than I'm
good.
good at it. Mm,
What? No, you're good at acting. You're super good. I mean, yeah, you could totally play in something as well,
yeah. Well,
but
I
I
mean, if it's
think the
my own project,
problem
I guess I can choose to do that.
you could choose to do that.
Yeah. It's
But
like
I mean,
when
yeah.
yeah. When I write things, I usually know which part I would be playing. Like here I was going to play Asher. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little game. So, feel free to join in. What we're going to do is we're going to set a 3-minute timer. During this 3 minutes, we're each going to make a list. We're going to bullet point different silly or bizarre or weird inventions. Just totally bizarre concepts, as many as we can. And once we're done, we're just going to share them and have a little talk about how ridiculous some of them are, or if some of them maybe are actually good ideas. So, get your timers ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, and go.
Ah.
Time is up.
I have three things.
Okay, I have 5, so it's not too much different. Okay, my first one is sandpaper shoes. So you put sandpaper in the front of the shoes, so when you walk, it trims your toenails, and then you never have to cut your toenails ever again. There might be a bleeding issue, but I think it's fine.
That's insane. And yeah, ow, just ow. And I would rather just trim my toenails. So please, just no.
But really, do you want to have to do that?
I feel like you would suffer the most in those shoes.
Why?
You'd be like, I hate this, I hate this.
How did you just manage to get a recording of me from the future and then play it out live on this show? How did you
That's
manage that?
exactly you
How
sound
did you
exactly
manage
like
that?
that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just know. Yeah. That's an invention.
Okay.
You can speak the future that happens. Okay,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
Okay, right.
My
Tom.
thing, something that can eat for you, so you
Okay.
don't have to eat. You just the thing just goes and eats and you're full.
How does it go in your body? What the hell?
I don't
Like
know.
Wi-Fi? Just
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
it's teleporting the food into your stomach.
Bluetooth.
Yeah. Telepads in your stomach or something. It's just like hopping in.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just goes and eats for you, and you can just
Love
chill.
that.
Then you're full.
That's hilarious. How about an emotion faker? And so I was imagining like some machine that essentially like maybe it's in your glasses and it will like little hands will come out and pull your lips up so that you're smiling. Or if you
Yikes.
need to express being sad, it'll push down.
Oh, like yeah, okay, okay. I see, I
Yeah,
see. So
you're
you don't have to mask. You can just chill, and it
yeah,
does it for you.
it takes care of showing the emotions. Yeah.
That's actually not the dumbest idea.
Yeah. But it's a little strange, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, some people might want to try that, so they don't have to feel anything. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
What's next?
Mine is a scarf that also doubles as a red carpet.
What the what, like for walking down to a
Yes, you can.
movie or something?
No, you can always just wear a red carpet, and then you can just, and there you have it.
Couldn't you just do that
I
with
don't know
any
why.
red carpet anyway? That would be too heavy, I guess.
No, but yeah, you would have to walk around with the whole thing. This is a portable red carpet that you can just smack. There it goes.
Okay. Okay. Love that. Love that. Okay.
Yeah, you get the vibe. Yeah.
A laugh extractor in store. So it's a machine that forces people to laugh, and then when they laugh, it stores their laugh. So like it's imagine like you're breathing and you could store your breath in a jar. Well, they're going to do that with your laughs. So your
Oh,
laughs are being stored in a jar, and then if they want to like release your laugh later, they can go and like throw it out, and your laugh will be like laughing.
yeah, that's a useless one. Yeah.
Okay.
My red carpet is better than that, even. And yeah,
Probably.
but wow.
Yeah, that was
What would
strange.
be the most useful thing you could do with a jarred laugh?
Take it to a comedy show so people think you're funnier than you actually are.
Oh, you just, yeah, casually behind your back, just opening a jar.
People are laughing.
Wow. Okay, I have a one that says, I don't know how to describe it, but paint that is a light source. So you can paint something
Ooh.
and it's like actual light,
Like glow in the dark.
like a light bulb, like a glow in the dark, but it's actual
Yeah, not just
light.
the dark, it's just light all the time.
Mm,
Huh. And would it work with like any color?
yeah, like a LED, like LED.
Yeah. That's strange. That is a strange one.
Yeah,
Paint that's a light. I'm not sure I like the idea of that. That's quite scary. So
you can paint your walls, and your walls will be like light.
my wall will just be screaming at me.
Yeah,
That's horrific.
yeah. You can't turn it off then, or could you?
Probably not. If it's just could you?
Could you?
I don't
If
know.
it's connected to some kind of, I don't know.
Maybe
How
it
would you
comes
even
with
connect
another
that?
type of paint. It's
It's
called
a
the
Bluetooth again.
activator, and you just get this
Hmm.
spot of paint, and when you touch it with that, it turns it off, and then you just go paint
Oh,
over it again, and it turns it back on.
that's hard work. Okay.
True.
Anyways, yeah. You have more?
Yeah, I've got two more. So my next one is a cold detector. So it's like a thermometer, but all it does is it just tells you, yes, it's cold. Or if it's cold, it
It's
says,
called yes
yeah.
or no question.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it.
is it cold? Yeah.
Just says, yes, it's cold. There's not even a no, it just says, it's cold? Yes, it's cold.
Oh, oh.
When it's
So
cold, it
if
just
it's
lights
not,
up and
you
says,
don't know.
yeah, and it doesn't even tell you what cold is classed as. Like, you don't know what that temperature is, but
Wow.
it's just, yeah, it's cold. It's kind of useless because you know it's cold because you can feel it's cold.
We have better inventions already
Yeah, and my last
for that
one,
type of thing.
is
Yeah.
a pineapple breakdancer, and so it's like it's a little machine that you would attach to the top of a pineapple, and then it burrows itself inside, and then it shoots its arms and legs out, and then it dances and does breakdancing. But it only works on pineapples.
What the hell?
I don't know.
What the hell? You have crazy ideas, man. This could be like for some kind of weird story, I guess.
Yeah,
For real life, it would be kind of catastrophic. Yeah.
you can't put it on any
Break
other fruit.
dancer.
Put it on a melon, and it
Pineapple
just
break.
blows up.
That reminds me, like lemon manager vibes. Lemon manager
Lemon
vibes.
manager vibes.
Pineapple break dancer and the lemon.
Yeah, we have some good inventions there, though.
Yeah. That's weird.
I think we're done. We're done with this episode.
Yeah, we're
We've
done.
had a lot of strange little conversations,
Mm,
but this one's been pretty fun. I've enjoyed this episode.
yeah. Thank you for watching. We really enjoyed trying to write something about science and trying this weird game. Hope you guys subscribe.
And check out all of our socials at ghostbookarchive.com. Until next week, goodbye.